All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. We got a kickoff in about 28 and a half hours from the time of this upload. And we are officially in territory that we have not been in since before guys like Russell Wilson got here. So maybe it makes sense that the return of games like this signal the possibility of Wilson no longer being here going forward. So we're hosting the Detroit Lions tomorrow afternoon, and we already know going into that game, the playoffs are dead. No hope of making the postseason whatsoever. It's gone. And like I said, the last time we went into a game knowing that we had no chance at the postseason was back in 2011. 10 years. Pretty good run. Now, those aren't necessarily the things that you compete for as a team, but it is impressive nevertheless on some level, and I got to give this crew credit for accomplishing that. Now, obviously, I value the Super Bowl trophy a lot more. I value the playoff wins more, and I value the era of excellence from the defense from 2012 to 2015 more. But it is a notable accomplishment. So, going into this game, there's a lot of apathy from Seahawks fans. I'll tell you right now, I don't expect that this pregame video nor the postgame video will get nearly as many views as my pregame and postgame videos usually get, because people just want this stuff to be over with. What this game really represents, more than us watching for something or us getting excited for it or us trying to figure out what we want to happen or what needs to happen to win, it's about the possibility that it's our last chance to see a couple of Titans playing in Seattle. There's been a lot made of the fact that this could be the final game that Bobby Wagner and Russell Wilson play at home for the Seattle Seahawks. That next time they play in Seattle, they will either be in a different jersey or they may just never play in Seattle again, period. That's a good deal more compelling than a garbage game between two pretty bad teams, with neither team having any chance of advancing to the postseason, and both teams just basically trying to get the year over with so they can proceed to figuring out what they want to do with their teams going forward. So, to talk about that, it does mean something to me. I think that in recent times, some people watch my videos and come away with the impression that I'm completely numb to any sentimentality. And I think what people need to understand is that I can wear different hats here. There's me, the fan of the Seahawks, and then there's me, the person who wants to see the Seahawks achieve great things. And I know it sounds like those two things might be the same, but often they're not. So I think the odds are very good that this is Bobby Wagner's final game in Seattle as a Seahawk. And I think that that absolutely has to happen for a bunch of different reasons. If Bobby Wagner is here next year, well, first of all, if he's here back on his current contract, that's a disaster, doesn't even begin to describe it. But honestly, I think if he's back for any amount, it's not good because of the direction that this franchise needs to take with some of their young players, guys like Jordan Brooks. So I very much want this to be Wagner's last game at home as a Seahawk. But he is still my favorite Seahawk player of all time. It will be kind of sad to see him go. I'm going to have very positive memories of him. A lot of the stuff that has happened in recent times are not because of anything that he didn't do. I think that he is worn down because we play him way too much. Carroll falls so in love with this guy that he thinks he just needs to be out there for 100% of the snaps when we play more snaps than anybody else. The last two games Bobby Wagner has played have been, I think, awful. Or maybe awful is too strong a word, but bad. And I think a big reason why that is because he's worn out, because he plays too much, and that's on this coaching staff for putting him in that situation. That's on the offense. That's on the defensive philosophy. That's on a lot of different things. So, at the end of the day, it's not like Wagner did anything wrong. He's just kind of caught in this not so great situation where the importance of his position is getting pulled down as time goes by because teams don't run the ball as much. Wagner's main strength, especially right now, is as a run defender. And these teams that we play, yeah, he does well against the run when he plays them, but the value of that is just getting diminished. So that's not really Wagner's fault. Wagner can only be Wagner. And what we have had over these last 10 years is a frequent All-Pro and Pro Bowl linebacker who, I'm not going to say he never takes a play off, but I never question his effort the way I would question the effort of somebody like maybe Jadeveon Clowney. And I am appreciative of that and grateful for that, and I will remember it in a pretty much purely positive light. And then you get to the possibility of it also being the last home game for Russell Wilson. And look, I might be, well, I'm definitely not. But some people think I'm president of the Move On From Wilson fan club. I'm definitely not. There are people out there who want to move on from him way more than I do. I do sense that it would be the right thing for this organization. But like Wagner, I look at what Wilson has done for this team, what he's accomplished. And believe me, as time goes on, I will definitely appreciate that. In the here, in the now, I look at things like Wilson not meshing great in this offense. I look at things like Wagner taking up $20 million and not having a massive impact on whether or not our defense gets the job done. And I go, I might love you guys, but right now you're messing up my team. All right? Right now, I don't think you guys are earning your money. But that doesn't mean I don't love you for what you did before. That doesn't mean I don't appreciate the fact that you guys did help win a Super Bowl, that you guys got us to the playoffs 8 out of 10 years. In the case of Bobby Wagner, you were the centerpiece of a defense that was number 1 in the league for 4 straight years. In the case of Wilson, that you were the guy that everything was built on for these last 4 or 5 years or so. So you can wear multiple hats on this situation. You can appreciate everything that a guy has done for you and still go, well, just because you did those things doesn't mean that I feel like you need to be kept around at a premium salary if I don't think that you are playing at a premium level. That's what it is to be a fan. Now, I'll say this. I don't think anything is guaranteed. Some people are acting like all this stuff is set in stone. Like Wagner's definitely going to be gone. Wilson's definitely going to be gone. I'm not convinced. I will believe it when I see it. It's possible. Well, okay. I'll say this. If Wagner is not gone next year, I think that's really surprising and really, really bad. But there's a lot of moving parts with the Wilson thing. We don't know if we're going to be able to find the right trade partner. We don't know if we're going to be able to make a deal work. We don't know if Wilson's going to be okay with whatever deal we come up with. So I don't think anything's set in stone in that regard. And also, and with this game still being in front of us, this game could end up affecting this. It could end up being Pete Carroll's last home game as a Seahawks coach. It could be John Schneider's last home game as a Seahawks GM. I think there is still the opportunity for things to flip here. But that being said, that is definitely the central focus of a lot of fans right now. It could be the end for some of these guys. And there might even be 1 or 2 other guys who might be playing their last home game as Seahawks, and those guys haven't had the opportunity to work themselves into the good graces of the fan base the way that Wagner and Wilson have because they've played at a Hall of Fame level. But I do wonder about somebody like a Dwayne Brown. I know Dwayne Brown has only been here for, this is his 5th year in Seattle. Not even 5th year because he was traded mid-season, but this could be Dwayne Brown's last home game as a Seahawk. Maybe DK Metcalf's. I seriously doubt it, but it's not impossible he gets traded this offseason. It's at least worth discussing. Maybe Quandre Diggs. I know he's only been here 2.5 years, but some people love that dude. Maybe DJ Reed, only here a year and a half, but he's been great. since he got here for the most part. So there are a lot of warring emotions going into this one, and I am aware of them, and I am not completely unfeeling to them. But as somebody who makes YouTube content for this team, I wear multiple hats sometimes. I can be the fan, and then I can be the guy who's trying to be objective. Believe me, as a fan, I want the Seahawks to score a touchdown on every play. I want them to get a sack on every play. I want them to get a turnover on every play. I want them to do all these things. But as the person trying to be objective, I know they won't. I know they don't. And in the case of this season, I know that they're not even a good team. They're not even average. They're bad. Sometimes they're really bad. And that makes me feel like it's time to turn the roster over a little bit, even if it means saying goodbye to some players who have been great for us. But I definitely feel something going into this game, and I'm going to be feeling a little bit weird as this game goes on and as the game ends, knowing that it could be the last time for some of these guys in front of these fans. And I think that's long enough on the emotional stakes in this game. Obviously, I do appreciate what Carroll has done, but if this ends up being the last home game for Carroll, then I'll be relieved way more than I'll be anything else. Okay, down the line, I will be able to look back and objectively say, hey, Carroll was a great coach for us. He did a lot of great things, but I personally think he's cooked. I personally think he's cooked. So I personally think that if this is his last home game as a Seahawk, that's great news. But we'll just have to see which way the team goes. But that's all I got for the that angle, because I know that's the angle that most people have on their mind. So I wanted to spend some time on that. Let's actually talk about this game and the possibility of the game actually having some influence on where we go now. So the Lions suck, and they are as beat up as you will find a team right now. I actually pulled this up on ESPN. I want to take a look at this for a second here. This is their current state of the Lions injured list. Now, this encompasses the whole season, but it really gives you an idea of what they're not going to have for this game. Goff is likely to miss the game. That's the big one. So we're probably getting Boyle. Josh Reynolds, a receiver who's contributed a little bit for the Lions this year, is out. Khalif Raymond, another receiver that has made some decent contributions for that team, is out. Vaitai is out. Michael Brockers, we remember him from the Rams, is out. Quentin Cephas is on injured reserve. He was arguably Goff's number one guy for a chunk of this season. He is out. And you just go down this list. T.J. Hawkinson, one of their premier pass catchers on the offense, injured reserve. Trey Flowers, injured reserve. Logan Stenberg, a guard who I really had my eye on in the draft when he was there, injured reserve. Frank Ragnow, the centerpiece of that offensive line, on injured reserve, out for the year. Jeff Okuda, Romeo Okwara, these are guys that I remember they drafted highly in recent years. It's just an absolute mash unit of players right now. They are down to their backup quarterback. With the exception of Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's throwing to backup wide receivers. And honestly, going into this season, Amon-Ra St. Brown was probably a backup as well. Although he's good. He's going to be a problem, by the way, just putting that out there. A lot of backups on the offensive line, backups on their defense. It is a team that has every excuse to just go out there and get bodied by pretty much anybody they play. If you compare their injury situation overall to ours, it's clear that we are doing a lot better, and we have a lot more to be grateful for than even the Lions right now. So you add all that up. It's the home game. It's the home closer, last home game for some of these guys. It seems like the recipe is there to beat up on the Lions and have your final moments of happiness before this awful season comes to a close. I do expect to win, especially with no Jared Goff, because Goff, as much as we all like to make fun of Goff for not being that good, he's not had a bad season. He plays okay. Decent player so far this season. And if he was in there, I might feel a little bit differently. But with Boyle out there, I gotta believe you can find some way to do it. This defense, this Seahawks defense, it let us down at the end of the Bears game, but overall it has been good. I think they can handle it. Tim Boyle. Is that even his name? Is it Tim Boyle? I think it is. I don't care enough to look it up. But I think it should be enough to handle that. And on offense, go look up the Lions' defensive stats. They are near the bottom of the league in a lot of areas. Now, one final thing I want to say before I wrap this video up. This game, I wonder if the decision on what we're going to do this offseason has already been made. And I wonder if this game has any chance to affect that. What if you lose this game? If you lose to the Lions, practically their practice squad at this point, because, again, look at all these injuries. We're playing a an extremely beat up Lions team, okay? Extremely beat up Lions team. If you lose this game at home, would that change any minds in the ownership group? Because as I've been detailing lately, even though I don't think it's set in stone, it sounds like Pete and John are coming back. I don't like it, but I understand why it's happening on some level, and if I see it coming, I'm going to say that I see it coming. So, there have been some Seahawks fans in recent times who have come out and said, I want to lose this game to make sure we fire Pete and John. I am not a proponent for tanking. I don't like to root for my team to lose. It's just not my style. It feels weird. And ultimately, when we get to game day, I find myself generally unable to do it. I remember back in 2017, there were 5 minutes left in a game against the Cardinals. In 2017, week 17, and we had just found out that we had been eliminated because the Panthers had lost to the Falcons. And I remember thinking to myself, well, there's no point for us winning this game now. I should be rooting for us to lose, but I couldn't quite get there. And then we lost anyway, and then we used the pick on Rashad Penny, so it really didn't matter. But regardless, I just couldn't quite get myself there, so I don't know what to tell you. But I'll say this, if you are somebody who is willing to root for your team to lose, this might be the time to do it. There is truly nothing to play for, truly no reason to really covet a win unless you're going to the game, I guess. Which, by the way, if you're going to this game, then, well, I mean, I guess it could be Wilson and Wagner's last game. I get that, but don't you have something better to do? And this might be the time to actually just say, you know what? Let's go Lions. Let's get a win for the Motor City Kitties. Let's make sure we see some big change, because bottom line is, we're all talking about how this could be the last home game for some Seahawks stalwarts. It probably should be, right? A season like this, somebody should be playing or coaching or managing their last home game as a member of the Seahawks. Seems fair to me. All right, I'll see you guys later today. Peace out. Go Hawks. Looking for a win, but aware that it doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot. See you guys later.